So you mean SATs, ACTs?
Hi, everybody. We are live. And as you heard, we are discussing college testing for our kids. So the admissions test, like Mindy said, the SATs, the ACTs, and all the other tests that they take. You can go back to the PSATs, I guess, and our experience with that. So I'll start. I have my personal testing is I don't test well. So when we had our older boys, they needed to study and prepare, and they're probably more like I am. That they test well if they put their all into it, but it's really a measurement of how much work they've done. And our youngest came along, and that kid can take a test on something he has never heard of and score well. It just blew all of our minds. We were like, what does that mean? And so in our family, it let us know that, these standardized tests don't mean a lot of anything. But it did change the college admissions process for us, because the older ones, they took classes, took the test, they took some classes again and retook the test. And we were really working for your best shot. And it worked well. And I understood that and could empathize with them and stuff. The youngest one, I was like, you have to take classes. He was like, for a test? Why would I do that? Mm-hmm. But he did, and he took the test, and he took the test once, and he was like, I'm done. So if you have one of those kids, I am so happy for you, because it will be a short process. But if you have kids like my older ones, like myself, you're going to be going through it a few times. And just let them know that, at least in our family's case, the test doesn't mean anything. It's just whether or not you are prepared for it. It is not necessarily measuring everything that you have learned in 12 grades, but it is an important part of the process. Mm-hmm. Although I guess we can discuss how important now that there's test optional, but I'm going to leave that for one of you guys.
Yeah, actually,
we're going to discuss that one on Wednesday with the experts for Destination College, 8:00 Wednesday night. And we're going to talk about test optional. And the interesting thing is they have a lot to say on test optional from what they're seeing. And it might not be what you already think you know. So join us if you want to hear from the experts.
Interesting.
Yes.
I wanted to just ask real quick, did any of you have your kids take, is it the SAT 2 or the ACT 2? One of them had like a 2.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, I did, Jessica. I think my oldest one did. Because it was like subject-based, right?
Yeah.
Was that like subject-based?
Yes, I took a couple of those, and I don't think they did anything for me, right? Did they?
They didn't have them anymore?
I don't even think they do. I think now APs matter. Like you can get college credit for APs.
That's I mean, I did both, but like, why did they make me pay the extra money?
That parents, if you are at the beginning of this process, there is a test online. It's free. And it's a combo test. I'm not sure what it's called. And it helps you decide which test is best for your child, where their strengths lie, whether they should take the SAT or the ACT. And everybody that I've heard who's taken that test to decide which way they want to go has been happy with the result.
Mm-hmm. And I know we don't have the answer here, but I would be really interested. So maybe I'll have to show up on Wednesday. The whole test optional, that fascinates me, because you do hear, oh, it's better if you do, it's better if you don't. So, and I know I was similar to you. I had my middle son who was not a great test taker. And we went through the whole, get him a tutor, right? So he took it first by himself. And then, okay, I want to do better. And had a tutor. Okay, got the exact same score. Okay, tried it again. Had a tutor focusing on what he didn't score. 3 times he took it. 3 times he got the exact same score. So, and then my oldest, same thing, he was that real type A. Oh, I can do better. I can do better on the ACT. I can do better. He had a great score. Got him a tutor. He dropped a point. So, do what's best for your kids. But for me, I found that it didn't, the extra money on the tutoring, when we're talking about money, or Jessica brought up money, why did not help. So that's my ACT story, is it tested them.
I have a slightly different, my kids, their scores did improve, but I don't know that it mattered. I honestly don't know. Like the ones who did really well in the test, their score improved, but it probably didn't matter. And then the ones that it was harder for them, their scores improved. I don't know that it mattered. I mean,
I know. Yeah.
it's such a there's so much stress around college admissions that throwing extra stress. Like I have a friend who drove her kid around to other states to get more ACT taking in because there's only a certain number of tests, and she wanted her kid to get a certain score, and her kid did get the score she wanted. Actually, this is such a funny story. My daughter and her daughter both went to the same college, and mine applied early and hers applied regular. And the school college counselor said to me that if he had to pick between the two, because if they both would have applied the same way, like either both early or both regular, he would have picked the other girl.
Oh,
because he was a guy who knew all the admissions people at this school, and he would say, I would definitely take this one. And so he tells me.
Wow. Ouch.
Yeah. But they both went because they applied in different statuses. Anyway, this is why you should not get wedded to a particular school, because
Right. You just don't know. You just don't know.
Right. I mean, most kids who apply fit into the range of scores, like GPAs and scores, because they look at that and they say, well, I could never get in here. I'm not going to bother with that, but I could definitely get in here. And it's still not a guarantee you're getting in.
Right.
Yeah. Eka has a great story that about her daughter testing, one of her daughters. I tested.
Tell her story. Her story's great. Tell it.
Yeah, her story is just like a lot of people, you're supposed to plan early and test early. And if you do well, then you don't have to worry about it. Or if you don't do well, you have time. Eka has a story about her daughter comes down the stairs at about midnight, or I think it's even later than that.
1 a.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m. And she tells her father, oh, can you give me a ride tomorrow morning? I'm going to go take the SAT. And he's like, what? Tomorrow? You're going to what? And she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to take the test again, see if I can do better than last time. And just went and took the test. They hadn't heard anything about it before. And he got up in the morning and took her. And the mother was like, wait a minute. This one's on you. We're not paying for this one. And she did well, but there was no pressure. So that was her secret sauce, right?
Interesting. Right. Pressure. Interesting.
Yeah. Melissa, any story?
I mean, I have a few. I mean, when I took the PSATs back in high school, I mean, I always tested really well, but that particular test, I couldn't even spell my name correctly. So,
because you were so anxious about it?
I don't know what was going on. I think I just got out of, we used to have track practice at like, I don't know, 5, 6 in the morning or something. So I was probably just kind of amped up and didn't know what the hell I was doing. I probably didn't even know there was a PSAT that day, to tell you the truth. I probably like, what are we doing?
Do people study for the PSAT? I don't think you study for that.
Some people do, because there are state scholarships based on,
Right.
So,
Is it national merit? Yeah.
PSAT was very competitive at my school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I didn't know that people study for it. But I think Mindy and I have talked about this. Like, you can be national merit and get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But you could
I had one.
the PSAT, what happened with our sons is that if they took it in 10th grade and it looks like they're going to do well on it, it looks like they may be a national merit scholar, then in 11th grade they are told to practice and prepare for it.
Oh, so that they make
the SAT and the PSAT to prepare them to be one. But it's based on if they took it in 10th grade and how well they did. Then they're kind of
right. You're given a heads up that you should pay attention to this kid, because they might they might actually get something that the school can brag about without the family actually getting anything.
Yeah.
Well, I think there are two parts to the school, because both of my kids, Shelly got one, and then my younger daughter qualified for it, and then she decided she wasn't going to take any more tests ever again. But we had to, like, there was another step to the application. Like, you get your score back and they give you a letter in the mail, and then you have to do something else, and I don't remember what it was. You had to submit proof of taking
Yeah, but it wasn't a
think
big deal.
some
It was not a big
AP
deal.
courses or something. Yeah, it wasn't a big
It
deal.
was not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Francisco, when your daughters hit this point and you think that you're going to pay for college because they're going to take a test and do really well in it, just be warned.
Well, I was
Yeah.
when listening to Kamira's story about that your youngest is such a great test taker, and my daughter was taking this statewide math test, and we were talking about it beforehand, and we talked about just strategies, okay, because there are all these different sections, and it's like first section is like if you answer wrong, it doesn't matter, right? Second section, if you answer wrong, you get minus points. So you have to really be very smart, just even if you don't know it, how to strategize the test. And so we are trying to go through it and say, in this section, just guess. There's nothing to lose. And she came out of the test and I said, so how did it go? And she's like, well, I didn't answer 4 questions in that area. And I'm like, okay, how did you guess? And she's like, no, I couldn't guess because I didn't know the answer. So when she couldn't get over it, that she would actually knowingly guess, but it's like, yes, there is a strategy, and some kids are just really great, and even if they don't know what they're doing, but they are very good at taking tests because part of it is just making really good guesses.
Well, so that's the thing. I always think about this in terms of multiple choice questions, and I don't know what it says about people's personality, but I can never get them right because there's always 2 answers that to me seem equally as good. Mm-hmm. And then I have people in my family who it's never an issue for them. They look at those 2 questions that I'm stuck on and they're like, well, obviously it's this one. So I don't know what that says about how I approach life and how they do. Although I'm guessing based on my family members that it's literally the people that walk around with certainty. Like we just had this whole conversation. Like I'll say something like, I read this article and it said it was somewhere around 78%. And my husband will go, well, was it 78% or not? And I'm like, and then he'll tell the story and he'll say, so I read an article, it was 78%. you know, like it's how do you walk in the world?
Yeah.
Right.
But I think, Sue, something you just brought up, and it made me realize, and I remember this happened when my children were really young and I got stung by a bee and it hurt like heck. And I thought, okay, this is good because now when my kids know what a bee sting feel, I'll know. Yeah, it really does. You get chills, and I could relate. And so I think as far as test taking, and then when I'll backtrack really quickly here, but then when one of my kids started swimming competitively, the coaches made all the parents come and we had a meet, like just against ourselves. Because he wanted us to know, okay, how does it feel when you're on that last lap and, people are yelling at you harder. And again, with test taking, when I was coaching, every year we had to do first aid and sudden cardiac, and the tests were multiple choice, Sue, and you just hit it with me. There would be 2 and, you had to pass. And I obsess over it like, well, it could be, but wait, do they mean this? Well, maybe they mean this. So great experience. Maybe we should have parents take an ACT or an SAT and understand the stress because it totally makes you so much more empathetic and compassionate.
Well, I think it's do you see gray in the world? Because the more you see gray, the more those 2 questions, I need more information in order to decide. Yeah. And if you're black and white in the world, you're in,
Boom. Really interesting. So that's my new theory. They need an ACT or an SAT for parents. And I bet a lot less stress would be put on our kids.
Yeah,
you can go online and do it. You can go online and do the free ones.
No, but it's not the same as sitting in the room with other parents feeling anxious. Like the person next to you is going like this the whole time or however you take the test now. And you're like, I haven't started yet.
Yeah.
Well, for the parents out there whose students are going through this or soon to go through it, what Francisca said is right, that there's a strategy. That's what the practicing and prepping for it is. That's why it should be called prepping and not, studying, because it's really about the strategy. It's not about the information.
Yeah. Actually, someone told us once, they told one of my kids, not to read the science questions because the question doesn't matter. I mean, don't read the scenario that they give you because that takes a lot of time. Just go right to the question, which is fascinating. You read the question first. You may not even need to, because
Yeah.
you may not even need to know the
Interesting.
facts, right?
Yeah.
Like it might not weigh in on that. So that is strategy. That is all about
Yeah.
strategy.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, the
Okay.
test prep classes and the tutors will help you with the strategy, by the way. Yeah.
Right, because like one test you're penalized for a wrong answer, and one test you're not. So on that test, you just keep guessing, guess away.
Mhm. And some of this information you can get for free online too. So we're
Yeah,
not
go to Sylvan. Go to our sponsor, Sylvan. SylvanLearning.com. They've got a lot of information there. I think it's you're looking up the link, right, Jessica? All right, everybody. Thanks for being here with us, and we will see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.